Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Cutz Academy JC, Cutz Academy Bristol, and Craig's Cutz downtown Johnson City. Man, this morning we got the morning breath. It's just that
I bought some mints before I
I
came.
got some mints.
I got
I'm
some
looking
mints.
forward to it. Anyway, spreading love the JC ways. The only way we know how to do it is the Cutz way. I'm gonna let my host introduce himself, then I'm gonna go into the topic and introduce our guests. But you know how we do it on Cutz. Barber College Success.
Am I Fields? Am I your barber? Marion, Virginia. Blessed to be here early this morning. It's
Early this morning.
early this morning, but we getting it in no matter what time it is. We
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a blessing to be in the studio. And my special guest, introduce yourself. Talk about yourself.
All right. I am Nancy Milbourne. Been married for almost 30 years. Have two great kids, very different from each other. And I homeschooled part of their education. And anyway, so part of that was wanting to help them decide a career path. So it was, the later high school years that I really felt impressed to help them.
So today, Nancy gave you a little snippet of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how do you help your kids, a family member, a spouse, someone you care about. How do you help them choose a career path? I think this is important. You will hear some great things today. You'll be able to earn the crown and think about the career path of a trade. Think about a career path of some secondary education. I think it's important to put someone in a position to help them think about. There's so many factors that goes into it. So many factors, but if you could pinpoint and help them along the way, I think that's a win. And today, Cutz, excuse me, not Cutz. Lathan, you know what I forgot? I didn't say Barber College Success. Today on Barber College Success, we're going to talk about this thing to help you choose a career path. So many things goes through my mind when I think about that, because how I chose my career path, it was real interesting. I was always someone like a sponge, just want to ask questions, and I would deem no information insufficient. So if someone says something to me, I stick to it, and I keep it, and I grab it. And all those things in my life helped me choose the career path of barbering. But some people choose a path differently. I know your story is very different, Ammi. We'll go into that as well, and we'll go back. We've probably talked about it so many times on the show.
They're probably familiar with it, maybe
Yeah.
at this point.
But still, we still need to elaborate on and talk so we can segue into the point of Miss Nancy. So when you think about choosing a career path, what do you think about Ammi?
It's really hard because I kind of got blessed. I kind of fell into this. I didn't really think of it as a long-term thing. It was more like, I'm gonna do this. This is better than what I was doing. I was working in prison before. I'm like, well, anything is better than this. So, when I think about picking a career path, I think that I tried a lot of different things, and once I found what I love, I just started putting my all in it. I gave it 100%. I can't necessarily speak on like picking the exact career path for you, like I said, because mine was more of an accident.
Right.
But I'm so blessed that it happened when it did happen.
But it could be a decision that you could help someone come to.
I will say that I can say that from being in this industry and doing what I do now, that I can wholeheartedly say that this is such a beautiful thing and a blessing to be in, and especially just being your own boss and dealing with people and making connections. That if you're looking for a career, this is definitely the first one that I would consider trying. And it would, even if you don't want to do it for the long term, just the experience and networking and the tools that you receive from just but from sales to promoting yourself, marketing,
building relationships.
Yeah, exactly. And tuning, being disciplined enough to tune a craft to get better at something.
Yes.
Just those, that foundation,
those tangible things, things that you just can't even touch.
Exactly. Will propel you either in this career or into your next endeavor that you decide to go with.
So it's interesting today because our guest on our show, Miss Nancy, This is a third generation. Her mother's been on the show and her daughter's been on the show. She's kind of in the middle, but she came last. But this is
They
interesting.
all have this commanding presence, though. Like,
Yes,
just y'all are just so
everybody's above 6 feet.
and well, not just. I mean, but they're so kind and confident. Like it's just like something that's just. I don't know if it's hereditary, or just instilled as they go on, but it just sense it from all of you.
Oh, that's neat.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Nancy, Miss Nancy,
Sir.
Nancy, which one would you prefer?
Oh, Nancy's
Okay,
fine.
great.
Whatever you like.
Thinking about everything that you've heard so far, and I know you have a plethora of just things in your mind, just churning to talk about. A career. What do you? How do you define a career? First off, when you hear a career, what comes to mind?
Career. I would think something that you do with most of your time that is likely your income,
Right.
the basis for your income. So it's something you're investing in for your life and potentially your future.
Key word that you
So.
just said in it. A key word that we use on this show: investing. A lot of people say sacrifice. We turn it around and say investing. Investing sounds like more of a positive direction. They're similar, but investing is you getting a return. Sacrifice seems like it's just like So career. What comes to mind is a passion. Something that be passionate about something. When you're choosing a career, something that I think you should be passionate. Once you're passionate about it, it makes that career a little bit more easier.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about a career, think about something that it's not going to be heavy lifting to go to work. It's not going to be treacherous to go to work. It's not going to be something that you're going to regret. And you can choose your path. So it's important that something that you need to talk to people about and be confident about and not try to be shy about it because you might go down the wrong road. What do you think, Am I?
I just think that the passion is key word, at least for me. A lot of times I gotta make myself not work,
Right.
which is crazy. I mean, that's how I think a passion. When you think
That's
about loving what you do, like you have to check yourself from working too much.
Yes.
But it doesn't feel like work. You enjoy it so much that I mean, yeah, exactly. And I have to. And my wife is my number one checker. She's like, you need to take a break. And but I mean, I could work all day. I could cut hair all day. I could talk about cutting hair all day. I could teach all day, and
Right.
I would probably trade sleep for it, and I have before, just because I love it so much.
I think it's important you said
I did it today. That's okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's great.
I mean, but you are so right because I think about the same thing. I mean, it's not boring. It's not churning. I mean, my wife, she's my checker too. She's like, hey, let's talk about something else. I'm like, my marriage, my wife, and Barber.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I love what I do so much, so I can talk about it all the time, and I can be in it and be around it. I can look at it. It doesn't get stale to me. So today, which is interesting because we're going to talk about how did you help your daughter choose the career path to become a master barber and some of the options that are out there to help you narrow that choice down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, what motivated me to help my kids so much was my own experience or lack of experience, maybe, in choosing a career. Because, I mean, when I was in high school, I had no clue what was next. I really had no passion to do anything in particular. I just kind of assumed, I guess, it'd be nice to be a wife and mom, but
Right.
beyond that, I mean, I really had no direction. And it was my grandmother that kind of
Narrow the path.
encouraged my mom by saying, Nancy needs to go to college. She loves music. Maybe she should study music.
Right.
So that was kind of the nudge that, and then like God opened a door at this college in Indiana. Anyway, so here I invested 5.5 years into college, and I ended up in the same job I was in before
Wow.
college. I took a year off from high school. I worked in my mom's Mary Kay office and was her administrative assistant. And yeah, so here, I ended up with tons of debt because I had no clue. I didn't have, I went a year in music and then I was like, what am I doing?
Right.
What is this leading to?
Mm.
So I changed majors, ended up, transferring to another college, lost tons of credits, ended up just, I got to get out of here,
Right.
So I ended up with a degree that really wasn't useful.
It's important because what I'm hearing from you, a lot of times we put in the decision in the 17, 18-year-old to make a lifelong decision in a short period of time.
Exactly.
And then also the financial turmoil, like she said, that could come from
Right.
being 18 years old and saying, "Hey, pick something. Here's a book. Here's it. Pick,
Right.
point at something. That's what you're going to do. That'll be $60,000."
Exactly, or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I just wanted, even talking to other high schoolers, our kids' ages, I was like, college isn't for everybody.
Right.
Like, don't assume. It's just good to stop and think. Like, so many parents just kind of assume that their kids are going to go to college.
But a lot of times, from a parent perspective, their thought process, I want my child to be better than me. And you want your child to be better than you, and you want them to make an informed decision so quick that can adversely really affect them long term and affect you because you're the one who's paying the bills. You know what I mean? So that's a decision that you have to carefully think about.
For my own children, I have two stepchildren. They're older and they're getting to where they're teenage years. I make sure they get good grades. I'm telling them they're going to take the SAT. They have every option. I want them to have every option available to them. If they decide they want to go to college, that's great.
Yeah.
If they don't, want to go work in a factory for the rest of their life, that's cool too. But I don't want them to look back and say, "Hey, I should have done better here, so I would have had this option." No, I'm going to give them every option available to make the decision themselves.
Which is key because a lot of parents put so much pressure again on their kids because your thought process is most parents are, well, and sometimes your kid just want to go to work and be happy. But you're like, well, you working at McDonald's, you working, and that's a good job. That's what you want to do, and you do it to the best of your ability to do it. But parents put pressure on their kids and let them know that, hey, that's not good enough. If you're not a doctor, you're not a lawyer, you're not in the Supreme Court, that's not acceptable. And that's not fair.
Well, and for our son, he was pretty easy. We explored a few options, but it narrowed down pretty quickly.
Right.
And for Kate, she like dreaded when anybody would ask her, "Oh, what are you going to do after high school?" "Oh, where are you going to college?" And she was just like, "Ugh, please don't ask me that." I mean, for our son, it was a lot easier. So, and maybe comparing herself to him, it was like, ugh, he knows what he's doing. I really have no clue. My husband and I really, we were not pushing for college necessarily.
Right.
But I mean, we are blessed to have free access to a community college in our area. And so, we were exploring, really, really going over that catalog and not having preconceived notions, like looking at trades, male dominated, female dominated. It didn't really matter for Kate, we just wanted to have it wide open.
An option just to be happy.
Well, and to be productive, to be able to support herself.
Yes.
My husband's main thing was, you don't have to go to college, but we want you to have a marketable skill.
And supporting yourself, I think some people have it twisted where the only thought process, they look at the biggest number. That's the only way to support yourself, which is unfair.
Well, and honestly, I mean, for Kate in particular, money has never been important to her.
Right.
She's not big on stuff. She doesn't need a lot to be happy.
She's an artisan. She's like us, where money is not important. It's almost, for me, I feel guilty to give somebody such a great time and a haircut and then expect them to pay me afterwards, which I fall short on because sometimes I give free haircuts away, which is not always the best thing sometimes, but I just love what I do so much that like I don't even think about the money. I think that makes you just an artisan is how it is.
So what this podcast is going to talk about today, and if you're listening out there, any parents, any family, friends, grandmother, husband, wife, cousin, options to help you think about narrowing that decision down, that difficult decision that it may be. So How did that decision come about? Elaborate about it a little bit more,
Okay.
Nancy.
Well, I mean, Kate did take some classes, in psychology and sociology, and she just was like, "Wow, this is so fascinating." So
Mhm.
at first, we kind of went down that, you know, I mean, she's a people person. She
Yes.
has understood people since she was knee
Yeah.
high to a grasshopper. I mean, no joke. At her first birthday party, 1 year old, she was walking around and interacting with all these different
Thank you for
people.
coming. It was great you
I
made
mean, seriously, she wasn't talking yet, but she was going around and interacting with people of all ages at her birthday party. And she's just so we went down that road first and met with a friend who is over I can't think of the word. Um, there's a local college,
Hmm.
and we know somebody who is a psychologist, and met with him. He's over like the career,
Department Career Services.
yeah, something. Not, I can't think of his title, but anyway, we scheduled an appointment with him.
Hmm.
Um, and he very, very helpfully and clearly laid out, okay, if you want a degree in psychology, these are your options. You know, there are like 4 viable options in the field of psychology. This is the amount of education you'd need. This is what the job is really like.
Hmm.
And, just laid it out there. And Kate came away from that saying, I don't like any of those options.
But the key is options.
Yeah.
Options. And
Right.
don't just stop at one.
Right.
This person was accessible very easily to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Oh, so anybody can go see a person like this.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
was it at which kind of college do you know, or was it
Yeah, it
community
was
college?
Milligan.
It was
Milligan
Milligan.
College.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish I remembered
Was he like
his
he
title.
planned like the curriculum? Is that what he did, or is that something, or did he just have like a career service job like Craig said, where he would just give you the options of what you think you might want to do?
A counselor per se.
Right. Like there
Mhm.
was a school counselor, clinical
Right.
psychologist, all these different.
I think that the audience out there gets the drift though, pretty much. That you can go to college
Mhm.
and ask.
Yeah.
Seek.
Right.
Seek.
But it's good to do that before you take that financial leap
Right.
of actually taking classes, in my opinion.
Of
I mean,
course.
I've talked to some people who say, no, you just should go to college and you'll figure it out as you're in there. And some people do, others don't.
Right.
And so it is a huge investment of time and money. I mean, college is more than just class.
No,
It's
it
a
definitely is.
great opportunity to grow up as well. But
One of the biggest things I took away from college is just the relationships that I've made. I made some great relationships. I built some great friends, which is who are in my life today.
Mm.
So I'm not dismissing college as well, but
Absolutely.
it has to be. It's something that you have to put down on paper and see the option if it works for you.
Like she's saying, like if you're listening right now and you're thinking about doing a different career, you should look at how much it's going to cost.
Mhm.
You should look at how much time it's going to take to get there.
Mhm.
And then after all that's done, is it something that you want to do for the rest of your life?
Right.
That's the 3 things you should probably ask yourself.
It's like a math problem. It's an equation.
Exactly. Break it down to the numbers.
But actually, I mean, for a high schooler, well, really for anybody, I think, even if you're thinking about changing careers later on, which is what I did. I don't know. I think it's more helpful to just think, what's my next step?
Right.
It may be 5 years, 10 years, it may be the rest of my life.
Mhm.
But to think, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Well, how do you know?
Not at 18 years
you
old.
know? Yeah. I
And you have to be supportive and let people figure it out.
Right,
Because some of us have
right.
figured it out in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s. Some people figure it out in their 50s.
Oh, that's me.
But you have to be patient, understand,
Yeah.
give people an option.
Morgan Freeman didn't get a first acting job until he's 50 years old.
Wow, really?
Really?
How about that?
Yeah, I've seen some interesting facts and numbers about that where I think Walt Disney was like in his late 60s when he started Disney World or something.
And Stan Lee
Wow.
was like 40 something when he started Marvel Comics.
So to put that decision in a 17, 18-year-old mind, to make your mind up right away, you were disappointing this family, that's not fair.
Right.
But that's
I
kind
agree.
of forced upon them at a young age. Like they really, because they're like, if you don't go to college right after school, like that's it. Like you're working, you're flipping burgers the rest of your life.
So now the next step, you went to Milligan, So after Milligan, there's another option that you chose, or was there a step before that step?
No, it was after.
Okay, so
Yeah.
talk about that next step.
Yeah. So again, Northeast State Community College.
So first off, you went to one college and use a family friend, and then you said, okay, that didn't work. So let's try another option.
Yeah, actually, there were two different people at Milligan that we met with. One was the main psychology professor there.
Okay.
So we explored that. We explored psychology. We looked at Northeast State catalog of all the different options for trades, or like a radiology tech, or
Right.
anything. Welding, it really, we were open to whatever.
And it doesn't even matter where you for a boy or a girl,
Right.
a male or female. So don't just narrow
Right.
the job search down because, oh, this is a female dominant job or this is a male dominant job. Give the person an option.
Absolutely.
Show them everything, because even if it might be a male dominant field, a female can succeed in it.
Absolutely.
If it's a female dominant field, a male can succeed in it as well. So give them an option to see something that fits.
And usually in those areas, like typically, if a male usually does well in a female dominant field, or a female usually does well in a male dominant field for some reason, like in barbering, or like I know male nurses or stuff of that nature.
Right.
It seems like
I'm a speech language pathologist, and there are very few men in our field, but they excel. They're great. The kids love them, or the adults. No matter where.
So this next step.
So the next step, yeah. So
this is the interesting part.
It is, and it's a great resource that is available, I think, to anybody in Tennessee. I don't know if it's limited to Tennesseans, but
if it's in Tennessee, it's across the country, probably even the world. Because,
maybe,
yes.
But Northeast State Community College has a career workforce. What do they call it? Career and Workforce Development Center, I think is the name of it. So I contacted them, who I had contacted when I was considering changing careers. And they, I think through a government grant, I think they are able to offer this assessment for free to anybody. And I emailed just to make sure, I thanked them for the help that they were in my daughter's life and pointing her in the right direction, or, as part of that process. And asked, are there any limitations or stipulations on who can access this through you all? And she said, no, it is available to all. So I don't know what all means, if it's beyond Tennessee or not. But,
you all.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's the Strong's Interest Inventory. Strong's Interest Inventory is available, and it's an assessment. So it looks at your skills, your likes, your dislikes, and it kind of matches you up in all these different areas. But the one, and then, so this was kind of during COVID. We're still a little bit into the COVID area right now, but so we had a meeting through Zoom with one of the career counselors at Northeast, and she explained all the results of Kate's test.
Right.
And there were all these different categories of how she rated, but the one that really jumped out for us, was the top career match.
Yes.
Because there's all these different categories. I don't even remember what the other ones were, but
doesn't matter now.
Doesn't matter, right? I mean, we have it, so we can look back at it. But the number one career that came up for her was cosmetologist/barber.
Interesting.
And she was considering like being a nail tech, or, she was like, I don't think cosmetology. I'm not feeling that, like that doesn't seem right. But when she saw the word barber, it just opened up a whole new, she was just like, I never thought about that. So she started like Googling barbering kind of things online, and she just got excited.
That's awesome.
And it has been amazing to see what a great fit it is for her already. She's only been in school 5 months, and she is feeling so affirmed in what she's doing.
And again, Barber College success. Today we're talking about career paths. How family members, how friends, how someone close to you can help you choose a career path. And we're talking with Miss Nancy today, who helped her daughter choose a career path of barbering through resources in her community. And there's so many resources out there that we don't realize and we don't think about. And it wasn't a decision that was made overnight. It was something that was talked about with family friends. It was something that was talked about with your daughter. And it was something that you wasn't biased because it says barber and and barbers, most people think it's just a male dominant field, which it is, but it wasn't something that you just kind of close the door and be like, well, that's a male dominant field. You won't do well. You know what? Let's see. Let's do some more research, which is good. You have to give people a chance and an option to do some research
Right.
because there's some tangible things that you can touch that will be a match for you.
Yeah. So, one of the first things I did after that came up, and Kate had this light bulb moment. I said, "Well, let's take a look. Let's look at the government outlook." There's I forget the name of the government site.
It's Bureau of Labor Statistics,
Yes.
Occupational Outlook Handbook.
That's it. The Occupational Outlook Handbook. Anybody can look that up online, and do a search on a given career, and it will lay out, like the median wage,
The pros, the cons,
like what the aspects of that career are, and who would be a good fit,
right?
Basically, but the career outlook was very encouraging.
A game changer.
Not a game
other than
changer,
the
but
wage, I could imagine. I think usually when you Google the wage for barbers, the average wage is like 24,000 a year.
no, I think it was more than that.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
man.
more than that.
Yeah, people are starting to track their funds a little bit better.
They started putting it on paper a little bit.
But they indicate on this site, for any career, for any given career, they will indicate whether it's an upward trend or a stagnating field, or just what the outlook is for the next 20 years. And barbering is expected to improve over the next 20 years. So
Right.
it's
the trajectory is just skyrocketing. It's just continuously climbing.
Yeah. So that was just encouraging.
Right.
I mean, we just wanted to be able to have her be marketable for herself.
and
have
take care of
some kind of
herself.
skill. Yeah, have a skill that she enjoys, that she could live.
And again, this is the Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook Handbook. And I'm pretty sure you probably can get that in any state. And
it's a government site. You just go on the web and look it up.
And it gives you statistics for the job. It tells you if it's an upward trend, if it's a downward trend, if it's staying the same. And one of the key things that we know about barbering, we know how the industry is really hot right now, and how everybody wants to be in that field, how it's just changing. But there's still some stigmas about barbering because some people still don't think that it's a viable career. Some people still don't think
it's a hobby.
That people just think it's a hobby. Some people don't think that you can sustain yourself. And a lot of people look at you like, "Are you just a barber?"
Yes.
And they'll
family members, everybody, friends.
And they'll understand the career and the income that you get from barbers. Some barber salaries starting out at $50,000 a year. There's some barber salaries at $75,000 a year.
We went to the hair show. Marcus Harvey said his average haircut ticket. Now he said a haircut. Now we're talking about an hour is $400.
Oh wow!
On average, that's his average.
But he's built himself up to that.
He's great. Yeah,
he's created that niche for himself. Because once you become a barber, you're not just a regular barber. You're a master barber. You can be there's so many trades that you can. There's so many things that you can have under your belt when you have that barber license. Celebrity barber. You can work. You an instructor,
an ambassador, brand owner, everything.
You can open your own shop. You can open your own school. You could be an instructor. You could travel the world and teach. There's so many different things that you can do, and people understand about this industry. That's so wonderful. So, and that's what we're here to talk about today: how to help someone choose that path and the perils of it.
I just want to say how beautiful it is that you went through such an effort to find a career path for your child, in a world where there's just endless opportunities, and how you could just um, put yourself behind so fast,
Without pressure,
yeah,
without no pressure.
and no pressure. And then one thing that stuck out to me about the show was how the whole family was there to support everybody, the boyfriend, the grandparents, the mom, everybody was there to support her,
Yeah.
and we're bumping DJ music and she's there. And, it was such a beautiful thing to me
It
to
was
see that.
fun.
It was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
neat.
and that's what the industry is about too. Stuff
Mm.
like that. Just an event.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
like that people don't see, that they don't think about.
Right.
And with that foundation that you created for her, she's going to have to be, she's going to be successful without even trying, and she's just going to love it. And you could just see that, and to have that support. I think that the possibilities are endless at that point.
Well, it is very encouraging as a parent to see your child doing something they enjoy and are good at, and I mean she went into that. There was a competition the other night, and she said going into it, I'm not going in to win it. I'm not in it to win it. I'm just there for the experience. And she just went in. She was vibing with the music and having a good time.
She
I mean, she
was.
was nervous at first, but
Yes.
then she just, she just enjoyed it and didn't worry about it, and ended up getting first place. So we were like, "What?" I mean, she's only been doing this 5 months. It's just another confirmation that she's doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing.
But that's the importance of you guys not putting pressure and taking time and giving options
Yeah.
and making the fit right.
Yeah. And people asked us when she made the decision to do barber school right after high school. A lot of it was not uncommon for people to ask us,
It wasn't popular,
"What do
I'm
you
sure.
think? What do you think about Kate doing barber school?"
I'm pretty sure. It was,
And we were like, "We think it's a great fit." Like we're thrilled. She knew she didn't want to do college, so man, this is great.
and this podcast is for other parents out there, other people who just don't understand the industry, and to get a glimpse of the things that happen, how people develop, how life change, and how accessible this barber industry is to a great career, to bring out your passion, to just be happy, just to build relationships, just to network. People understand those things that you get out of it, and because we always think about the big number all the time, and we don't think about the happiness. Well, you know what? Lawyers, they make 250 grand a year. You have to do this to be happy. You have to get this amount of money to be happy. Everybody looks at that big picture, that big number.
I know Victor Blends, Vic Blends. Most people are familiar with him as a barber. Even people that aren't into barbering. He was laid out. Everything was laid out for him to go to college, and he started going to a shop, and he was so passionate about the guy at the shop that he had knew that that's what he wanted to do, and he had actually convinced his parents, "Hey, I don't want to go to college. This is what I want to do." And then you see where he's at now today to propel himself. And I just fell into this, but I know that even if you're on the fence about doing a barbering or cosmetology or something like this,
A trade.
if you just look at the time and the return of it, I mean, even if you don't know if you're passionate yet, which I didn't know at first too. I mean, barber school is 11 months, and you said from 10 to 30, however much you pay for school, it's a lot cheaper than going to college for 4 years and then putting yourself behind.
Absolutely.
And even if you might still want to go to college afterwards,
Right.
it might pique
That's an option.
You might see the business aspect of entrepreneurship of being a barber and want to pursue something else, and it gives you the tools that you could do to propel yourself in that as well. So, but I love this thing, and I love to see a family support a child in this, and to see her grow. And man, this is just such a great career. I mean, everybody listening, like, you don't know how great this is, or maybe you're listening, you do know how great this is. Tell somebody. I tell people all the time, there should be millions of barbers where I live. Everybody in my town should be a barber, because everybody I meet, I'm like, you should be a barber.
Oh.
Yeah, all the time.
But the importance of just going into something, because you had no perception of what barbering was before you even came.
Yeah, never thought about it.
Yeah, but just understanding, and what Kate comes home and talk to you about, and just makes you like, man, you probably thought about maybe like, man, Kate, this interesting. You make me want to be a barber.
No, I love what I do. Thank you.
But just the fun of hearing someone talk about their trade and their career just kind
Yeah.
of makes you feel like,
Yeah. Well, thinking about who Kate is as a person, as a unique individual, she from early on has been super creative. I
right.
mean, my mom just said recently, "Oh, she's not making the creations in her mashed potatoes anymore. It's in the side of somebody's head,"
That's awesome.
So she's always, I mean,
She was written. She's an artist.
Yeah.
oh, she is an
It was
artist.
already happening.
She
Great
is very
artist.
much an artist. Yeah. I
Right.
mean, I have a whiteboard on the fridge for keeping notes on things. She would, I'd walk by and, whoa, where'd that drawing come from? I mean, just anywhere the art just oozes out of her because
Just
she's
flows.
just so creative. But she's also very, very people oriented.
Yes.
And when we were narrowing down what she might want to do, she said, I think I could be happy doing just about anything as long as I was with people I enjoyed.
Right.
And we were like, well, you can't always control who you're around, you may or may not enjoy them. But like when we thought about welding, because we were like, well, that is like good money. There's always a need. And my mom heard that and she was like, what? Kate needs to be with people. Like welding is such an isolated trade. I mean, it's a great trade,
Miss Barber, lovely
but it
lady.
wasn't a good fit for Kate because
Right.
she's so people driven, So seeing just how God just kind of plopped her into this field, and we're just like, wow, this is the perfect fit. She's with people all day long. She loves diversity.
She does.
She grew up in a white Christian homeschooled environment and was like, I am tired of this.
Just be something different.
Yeah, she was like, I long for diversity. Wow, she has gotten it. It's been a beautiful thing to see.
So how did you guys choose the school?
Well, that's a very good question, but there are only two options in
Right.
our area. One in Johnson City and one in Bristol, Virginia, right? Both your shops.
And then
Yeah.
Jenny Lee as well.
Oh, yeah. Jenny Lee, yeah. We did consider Jenny Lee. It was expensive. On par, I think, with Crown Cutz, but anyway, so she was like, I don't know. So we decided to go ahead and visit the Johnson City Crown Cutz. Met with Brittany, your office administrator, and we just, she gave us a tour. She gave us the lowdown, what to expect, how much it cost, and just, we have a textbook. We go through the textbook several times before they graduate. We start with class time for a couple hours, and then you're hands on.
Yep.
Yeah, hands on the rest of the day. And we left there. And I said, Kate, how about we visit the Bristol school? And she's like, nope, nope, I don't want to do that. I really like this place. This is where I feel like I belong.
I thought the first time she came was when she dropped that note.
It was.
Oh.
I think. No,
came to
that
see
was
Brittany.
right after
Yeah,
we saw
that's
Brittany.
about-
Yeah, right.
'Cause
Because
I didn't
Brittany
get-
said we start every Tuesday unless it's a holiday. And it wasn't a holiday,
Right.
but it was the day after Memorial Day, I think. No? Labor. Yeah,
One of
Memorial
those- one of
Day.
those- one of
Yeah,
those
because it was
days.
June. So, anyway,
So she came in and
we came expecting to have our first day of barber school, and
nobody was there.
nobody was there. Yeah. So she left.
She was probably so hyped too. She gets
Yeah,
there.
she was
was
nervous.
excited.
She was nervous, but excited.
So I came in the next morning. I seen this note.
Yeah. We tried shoving it between the doors so it would land, so somebody would see it.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, okay. But then it was history after that.
What did the note say?
I am interested in the school and I want to come. I want to start tomorrow or something. And I can't remember. This is a little interesting note.
Yeah.
She was sitting there waiting on you when you came to school that day, just waiting on you.
Kate's wonderful. Kate's wonderful. I'm happy to be part of her development to being a master barber. And again, it was just interesting to hear your story and how you help her choose the industry to become a master barber. And it's important for parents, just people out there in the universe, because we're in over 70 countries. We're all across the United States. It's interesting for people to hear your story because most people don't think of it like you're saying. You're from a white Christian home, and most people think like, well, barbering, I don't know, but you have to believe in God and believe in and understand that He's going to lead you in the right direction. First off,
Well, he certainly has.
and not to take it for granted that this industry is for everyone. Being a master barber is one of the best things I've done in my life. And I want to share it as much as possible so other people understand it's a career option. It's a great career option.
Yeah, even just last night, I was talking to my mother-in-law. We call her every Sunday night. And so she was asking, what's up with Kate? And she always checks in with both our kids. Tell me what's happening, what's new, because she prays for them and just wants to be involved even from far away.
Yes.
But anyway, so we mentioned to her that Kate will likely finish barber school at the end of April and that a job opportunity has already
Developed.
opened up for her because she's been visiting a barber shop right on the edge of the campus where her boyfriend goes.
Yes.
And when she first saw this shop, she was like, wow, that looks really cool. I wonder if someday maybe I could work there. But then she thought, well, what if the people aren't that great? Or, so she visited. She was nervous as all get out about visiting this shop. But God has just opened up doors there. And the reason I bring it up is because my mother-in-law was like, well, when Kate and her boyfriend get married, what are they going to live on? Because he's a student.
Right.
What are they going to live on? And I didn't tell her this, but Kate told me that the last time she was at that barbershop, they are slammed for business. They are popping them out. Just the place is packed.
Yes.
And there's only 2 barbers there right now. So they are cutting so many heads a day. And the one gentleman, the older of the 2 guys that's working there, showed her his ticket at the end of the day. $700 that day.
Yeah, interesting.
She was like, what? She was like, if I could make $500 a week, we'll be fine.
Yes.
Like I said, she doesn't need lots of money, but to
don't
see it as a viable option,
Oh.
I didn't mention that to my mother-in-law. But I want, she was a little concerned. How are they going to live?
And most parents are. Most parents should be, because you want your kids to be better than you. You want your kids to have to sustain themselves.
You don't want your children to do without.
Yes.
I think that's the main thing. Like, you want them to have everything afforded to them. At least
yes and no.
Well,
I think a lot of parents, I don't know. I think a lot of people in our culture today put so much emphasis on being financially prepared that they're waiting too long to get married. They're waiting way too long to start having families. I don't know. Like when my parents got married, they were 19, 20 years old.
Well, financial literacy is something that needs to be taught.
I think it's important.
I think it's important. But what I hear you saying is that you can build together and grow together. You don't have to have the world in your hands at the moment to be married and grow.
Well, I did that too. I mean, when I was 21 years old, I had 4 kids and I was married. My wife was working on her master's degree, and we did it without a lot. I mean, there was times where we had to scrounge up some change to get a little Caesar's pizza,
Right.
but thank God, where we are today, and we grew together, as you said, and it worked out for the best. But it would have been nice if we didn't have to eat little Caesar's pizza, all the
It builds
time.
character.
It does, yeah.
It does.
It builds character, and it teaches you how to spend when you have more.
It's just scary. It's a scary thought for me. The financial part is so important because it is so easy to put yourself in a hole nowadays. And we had brought Lanisa, is that her name?
Yep.
We brought her on, and she was telling us how she has people that go to buy a house, and she's looking at their student loan debt, and they're not making anything compared to what they owe. And I think I see what you're saying. It's important to build happiness in a life and relationships first, but I think it's very important to instill that financial. And then even with Kate, okay, the man makes $700 that day, but where's that money going?
Yep.
Is he investing that money? Is he saving that money?
Right,
Is he that those things are very, very important. And I'm just now finding those things out, because I remember the dumbest thing I ever did when I bought my wife's wedding ring. Like I said, I got married 21 years old, had all the money to buy it, took the money to pay for it. I didn't take enough money out the ATM to pay for the taxes. So I just put it towards, they put it towards a credit card. Well, I didn't pay that credit card for 2 years. And so I started off with my credit score 400 in the hole, which took me a long time to climb out of. And thank God we are where we are now, and it all worked out.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. And it was a hard lesson learned, but my family were not very good at finances. And that's something that, as an adult, that I have made it a point to take care of now, because it did put a strain on the life and stress of my family, on my parents.
So financial literacy is important.
I think it is. Not to discredit what you're saying. That is very important too. But I think early on, especially
But
in
I
the
think it's
Barber,
two different things.
It is.
It's two different things.
Yeah. Two different aspects of the same thing.
Two different aspects of the same things. Learning how to control your money, and some people thinking that they have to have money to be happy.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So I remember those days too. Those are great days. I remember my best day in the barbershop was $740.
I can't wait for that day.
And I was like, but it makes you happy, and people don't think about that. You're on the level of the top physician. I'm a lawyer. You know what I mean? That's the profession that people go into school for 5, 6, 7 years, and you go to school 11 months to a year, and you finish. If you go part time, it's a year and a half, and you have the potential to do that within the first year. That's a no brainer. What's that decision to make? It's a no brainer. I mean, that should help you cue your decision on trying to find a career path.
And you get to create at the same time.
Go to the government website. Go to your local junior colleges or colleges and ask. Get the resources. Ask questions. What career path fits me? Do those little assessment tests, and when you do them, you get more than one choice. You get about how many choices?
Oh yeah, lots of choices.
So go and do the research in all those choices and see what best fits you.
And be open minded, because even with seeing Barber on paper, and people would have got maybe, or welding. The fact that y'all considered welding is awesome. You know what I'm saying? But she researched it, and researched it.
That's great, because you're not limiting yourself. It could have been a seamstress, whatever it is.
And I think it's important too to cross things off the list.
Yes.
Like be open-minded, but then narrow it down. Like if oh no, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that. No. That helps too. It's all part of the process of understanding yourself. And I mean, honestly, there's lots of resources out there to help with career decision making.
Yes.
Questions to ask yourself.
Career decision making.
Like there's a I remember one, we didn't actually go through it, but there's a source out there that just asks why. Why?
What is your why?
Well, why do you okay, I'm considering this option, whether it's a business decision or a career choice. Okay, think of that one option and then ask yourself, why do I think this is good?
Mm-hmm.
Or why is this potentially a bad idea? But asking why for every question that's answered. so that you get down to what really motivates me, or what am I really basing this decision on? So it helps you understand your own thinking process, your own values, and what's important to you, and who you are. I mean, I think it's important to understand who you are. And honestly, for Kate, I mean, I have known maybe no other 18-year-olds who are so comfortable in their own skin. She's just she knows who she is, and she's comfortable with that.
Which is great.
So that's why she was, not succumbing to any pressure of going to college just because everybody goes.
Right. That's important.
It is. It's important to help people understand who they are and to be confident that that's a good thing.
Because just sitting back, I mean, I went to college in athletic scholarship, which I'm thankful for. Having conversations in the college setting with your friends, your peers, a lot of us didn't know what we wanted to do. A lot of us, we didn't have no clue what we wanted to do, and we're like freshmen. And your sophomore year there, you don't know what you want to do, and then you hear you have to make a decision. I'm like, what do I?
Sports management.
and everybody chooses typically how college athletes choose a major a lot of times is, what's the easiest one? What's going to give me the most time to get some rest, to get some sleep in? And that's not fair, because you have that small window again. Your freshman, sophomore year, you have to make a decision because you have practically like 2.5 years to finish your degree.
And it's harder too when you're not paying. If you're on athletic scholarship, you're not paying for it. Then there's no skin in the game when it comes to that. Like you don't have any responsibility to choose a major that works for you, because you're just here to play football and it's getting paid for.
But thankfully, I chose a major that worked for me. Mine was marketing and advertising, which helped me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I know a lot of other students, athletes, they were like, man, what do I do? And I remember, it's funny that you brought up the assessment. I took an assessment in college, and the skill that came up was optometry.
Optometry.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I remember that like yesterday. And I'm like, man, I was sitting there working on people's glasses, and I don't know what. Yeah.
You know what came up for me?
What?
I took an assessment after high school. Funeral director. I was like, no, thank you.
I'm about to go take one.
I'm sure it's a great field, but no, thanks for me.
But then again, I stopped. I didn't do as much research as you did. So it's important to kind of broaden your options. You see something that you don't like, you just can't stop now. It's important to broaden your horizon.
I can see right now, like, you should get the Ray-Bans. The Ray-Bans.
You know what I think is a good thing that a lot of people who are considering a career maybe don't think about or don't take the effort to do is to go and observe. Go and observe that particular career in action.
Yes.
Talk to the person, if you can, who's in that field.
Familiarize yourself with that.
Yeah.
Occupation.
Yeah. Like when I was considering going back to school, my husband was like, okay, we don't want to get into more school debt unless you are really sure this is what you want to do, So yeah, he was like, go and observe as many different people. And yeah, so I did. And it actually caused me to wait because I wasn't sure.
Right.
And it was a couple years later.
But here it is. A lot of times we use this word pressure and thinking that you have to have it by 18. Kate was lucky because she was, like you said, she was comfortable. She's like, I know what I want. I don't want this. She got it at 18. And you say, you change your career into something that you want at a different age.
Yeah.
So there's
40s.
Different part of the spectrum. And that's okay.
It is. Yeah. Because it's really just like, we don't know how long we're going to do something.
Right.
We really don't. So it's just, what is next? What's the next step? I think that's an important, not to put too much pressure on yourself,
And give yourself an option, but when you're doing it, do it well. and have that skill and do that skill well. And if you don't like it, move on to something else.
Mhm.
But you'll still have that skill with you.
Yeah.
Don't procrastinate and not do it well as you're doing it. If you're gonna do it, something you're thinking about doing, do it well.
Yeah.
And then if you don't like it, hey, move on to something else.
Mhm.
And don't let fear hold you back.
Yeah, because that skill is something that you will have and you will master it.
Yeah.
But you'll always have it.
You know, we know people too, though, that that have had multiple careers. You know, in many different types of things. In fact, we knew somebody who decided early on, I'm going to have a new career every 10 years, and he did.
Wow.
And his life was so fascinating.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, I think it's great. Like I personally love what I do. I love working with kids in a school environment. I love the families, and you know, it's very rewarding for me to help kids be able to communicate more clearly.
Yes.
Because communication is so vital to quality of life.
It is.
And opportunities in the future, and you know, all kinds of things. I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Just went off the track.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Every good thing must come to an end. We can talk for the next 30 hours. I love coming, Ammi. I love looking forward to the podcast. I'm like, Ammi, just to zoom in. He's like, Craig, now I'm coming to the studio.
Yeah.
Aw.
I love, and it doesn't feel the same when you Zoom. Like, I feel like I'm missing out on stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, zoom in. It's like, Craig, I'm coming to the studio. I'm like, Ammi, it's early in the morning. It's like, I'm there.
When they get teleporting going in the future, I'm good.
But the podcast is always fun. I love coming. I love being part of it, and I love getting information about the barbering industry because there are a lot of misconceptions and a lot of perceptions of the industry, and we just want to control and just help that narrative and let people understand that this is a viable career.
Absolutely.
This is a great trade, and people can do well financially, mentally, physically, emotionally, and be passionate about something and give so much to the world. What do you think about the podcast today? And did you have fun? And did you have reservations coming on? Were you nervous?
Of course I was nervous. I've never been on a podcast before.
You nervous? Kate came from you.
What?
Kate came from you. You being nervous? That's impossible. Where did her reservation from you? Yeah.
No, it's been really fun, though. I appreciate you inviting me.
That's
I think
good.
I got invited last because I met you last. Every time I came to the shop, oh, Craig's not here. So I didn't get to meet you until recently, but
I remember
we love you.
You brought some cookies or some milk or something
Yeah,
one
yeah.
day, and Kate was like, "Craig, my mom brought some cookies and milk, and you missed it." I was like, "I'm sorry, Kate." But it's fun. We have a great time, and Kate won the competition. We had a barber competition this weekend. Kate came out on top. She took the crown.
That was amazing.
She took the belt, the world championship belt, the people's champion. Millie B the Barber. That's a barber name.
Is that her name for real?
Millie B
I think she's going with it.
Millie B the Barber.
That's dope.
Yeah, her last name is Milborn.
Millie B.
Millie B the Barber.
I like it.
I like it too.
I like their model too. Micah. Shout out to Micah. She was so cool and like just down for whatever.
Oh, she was excited when Kate won. She was jumping.
Oh,
Yeah.
She didn't say a word the whole time. Kate won. She just like
She said, "We won. We won."
yeah, she jumped. I'm like, I didn't think she had that much energy in her.
Yeah.
Honestly, but after they won, she's like
Oh,
overshadowed. Like,
it was fun.
But it was a great evening, great event. I like seeing students happy. I like seeing parents, family, and friends come and support students. So it was a great evening all around. But again, every good thing must come to an end, and we've been on that basically an hour. You know, does it seem like it?
No,
It seemed like it's just
and
fun,
enjoyable.
just a flow. Barber Card Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Cutz Academy, JC Cutz Academy of Bristol, and Craig's Cutz downtown Johnson City. Spreading love the JC way. We do enrollments every month. The school in Bristol and in Johnson City. Hit us up. You want a career change? Come talk to us. We're waiting for you. It's a fun, viable, passionate career. If you have any questions, hit us up. And my co-host himself,
Ammi Fields, Ammi Your Barber on Instagram. Follow me, ask me questions. I have students ask me questions sometimes too.
Hit us up. We love what we do. And our guest,
Nancy Milbourne of Elizabethton, Tennessee.
yes. And your career change, what you change your career to now again?
I'm a speech language pathologist with Sidekick Therapy Partners. Love, love, love what I do.
Sidekick. Sound like you have like a sidekick on the side.
Yeah,
That's
we
what's
are
up.
the sidekick.
I love that.
Helping
I love
our
that.
heroes.
Yes, ma'am. Heroes and sheroes. Yes. But again, Barber College Success. Thank you to our sponsors, Colossal Brand. I forgot to give them a shout out. And our top 25 feed spot. They ranked us top 25 in the world in barber content. That's an amazing feat. We just thank you for all our listeners out there in China and Russia, wherever you are in the Caribbean, in Chicago and Massachusetts, in Florida, all the counties of Tennessee, Washington, D.C., all the way up to California, in the Midwest, wherever you are. Thank you for the support. Like us, subscribe to us, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, send us your questions on YouTube. Again, we working on that podcast to rank the apps. We coming at you pretty soon. Take your time. Just enjoy the flow. Again, we love you. Peace.